Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, Valley Grace. It has been a year since my wife and I and our family went back to Uganda, and we just wanted to come back and give you guys a little update. A lot has changed in a year. Valley Grace got a sign on the road out here. That's amazing. Good job, Valley Grace. Ben found a Bic. That's amazing. Good job, Ben, wherever he is. Shaved his head. And we've been living through this thing called COVID. And in America, apparently it's gone, which is great, right? Like, you can't tell it's here. If it is here, you don't know. You just don't worry about it. In Uganda, it's not that way. We still wear masks everywhere we go. We're still, like, in a pandemic. But, hey, a lot has happened in a year. So I just wanted to update you guys on how things have gone in Uganda and send some thanks your way. Ooh, black slide. Did I go backwards? Wrong way. What'd I do, Doug? Wrong button. Okay, so for those of you guys who maybe you haven't met me or you don't remember who I am, my name is Caleb Smagacz. I lead an organization called Hope Alive in Uganda, Africa. This is Uganda, right, with Kenya to our east, South Sudan to our north, Congo to our west, and Rwanda to our south. And then that nice little body of water called Lake Victoria. Our family moved to Uganda in 2017 when they were just babies. You can't really see it so much, but on that top corner, they were just babies. And now they're growing up and spending their life over there, and that's pretty amazing. We want to praise the Lord for all that He has done in the last year. Specifically through Valley Grace. We want to thank you guys for giving generously to our friend Sylvia and her house build. When we left that town, we moved from the town of Imbarara, we were wondering how would life treat Sylvia as a widowed mother of three without employment or any place to live, anything to do. What would life look like? And so we brought that prayer request to you guys as a church, and as a church you decided, hey, we can do something about that. You know, we can love the widows that are in this world. And so we dreamed with her a dream to have a 3-building house on a piece of land that she owned, and that she would, let's see, there's a laser pointer, that she would live in one unit and then be able to rent the other 2 units for household income to send her kids to school, to be able to provide for herself, so that she could live just a life that, a normal life where you're able to provide income for your family to do the things that need to be done and not have to worry and suffer. So y'all provided that money for this house to be built. You kind of see the stages there of the development of the home, and this is as it stands today. This is the house. The neighbor actually built too, which we weren't expecting, but is a very good thing, because safety is often found in community in areas. So we were kind of building a little outside of town because land is cheaper and things like that. But some neighbors came along and said they're going to build too, and that's fantastic. So we praise the Lord that house is basically now done, that she is able to rent, and she's able to provide for her family, and hopefully will be able to for the foreseeable future. So, man, thank you, Valley Grace, for loving Sylvia, for investing in the least of these, for selfishly giving. We're just blown away by your generosity. Someone you've never met, someone you will probably never meet, but that you said, hey, we care enough to give something. So we praise the Lord for you, church. So I've been wrestling with and kind of marinating in this verse, or this part of this verse, for the better part of a couple months here. And I don't know about for you, you may be familiar with this verse if you're, too Bible-y. It's Romans 8, right? And it says, and we know that in all things God works. And normally I just skip past that part and I try to get to the second half, where it's like, God works for the good, right? Because that's what I want, and for the good of those who called him, or who are called according to his purposes. And I want to hear about the good when God works, because I want good to happen in my life and in the lives of those I love. But I've been trying to stay here. And we know that in all things, God works. And isn't that enough, right? And for that to be enough for me, to not need to move on to the second half of the verse, to be able to stay in the first half and to say, you know what? Whatever is going on here, whatever situation we're facing, God is working, and that's enough. If I don't understand the good that's coming out of it, if I don't see it, if I don't feel it, if those around me aren't experiencing good as I would understand it, I can still be sure that God works. And if we're honest, COVID-19 was a little bit like that, where most of us were asking, is this true, right? Is this true that God is working? And if so, how? How is he working, and how is that verse possibly true? In 2020, when the world shut down, Uganda shut down pretty harsh. We weren't able to move much outside of our house, really outside of our community. There were no vehicles allowed on the roads. We could leave our house like once a week and walk to our grocery store with a backpack and go get groceries. And the whole of the country was that way, where there was just nothing. And people were dying from simple things like starvation and complicated things like COVID. And so the shutdown happened, and it didn't last 3 months. It lasted 2 years on and off again, varying levels. But the schools were closed for 2 years in Uganda. And there were months at home, and things were tough in the country. And so you have to ask, God, are you working, right? And so I work for Hope Alive, and that's our mission. That's what we do in Uganda. This is our vision statement. We want to introduce children to Jesus Christ, help them grow in him, provide them with a decent basic education, and to assist them in acquiring a skill so that they can take a strategic place in their communities and impact it for Jesus Christ. A lot of words. Love to break it down for you sometime. But as a leader of an organization, I don't get to take 2 years off when COVID hits. Our organization isn't going to stop. The goodness that God is expecting to flow out of Hope Alive doesn't get to say, well, we're checked out, right? COVID is here. The schools are shut down. We can't send our kids to school. Let's just, regroup and take 2 years off. No, we got to figure out how are we going to, know and trust and believe that in all things, God is working. In this too, God is working. So this is how we are an organization. We have 367 kids that we send to school and that we are discipling and investing in on a regular basis. This is how COVID affected us. This is how we were able to see the goodness of God over the last 2 years. So education is a big part of what we do as an organization, but the schools were closed for 2 years. How are we going to respond to that? So we were able to go from big to small. Right? Instead of sending our kids away to these big schools that they would have one teacher and 60 kids in the classroom, our kids are in their communities. And you know what? There are also laid off teachers in their communities. And so we found teachers in the communities where the kids lived. And we gathered all the kids, not just the Hope Alive kids, but the kids in that community could come to a designated location, and they could get tutoring. And we couldn't call it school. It wasn't school, but we could tutor them in literacy and in math. And then we send them home with paperwork, and then they come back, right? So when the schools finally opened up, the kids that had been receiving tutoring, the kids that had been coming to what we were able to offer educationally for our kids were so much further advanced than the kids that didn't receive or that received the normal stuff from the country or nothing at all. So we praise the Lord that he was able to work there. And the other thing that God did through COVID was all this. Normally as an organization, we're used to seeing our kids once a week, kind of like you guys as a church. They're at school Monday to Friday. They come with us on Saturday. We disciple, invest, do the things that we do. And then they go to church on Sunday, and then you rinse and repeat, right, every week. But all of a sudden, they're at home every day with nothing to do. So God gave us the opportunity to go from meeting weekly with the kids to meeting daily. And what an opportunity it was to be able to disciple, to educate on a daily basis. It was incredible. We were able to distribute a lot of food to our families and the families in the communities that we work in that so desperately needed it. $50,000 was donated to Hope Alive. We were able to raise that. People gave generously, and then we were able to distribute it to families around our area. So we praise the Lord that even in COVID, God was working. Discipleship went much the same way for us. We went from big to small, right? We went from meeting weekly to meeting daily. We went from, just having casual conversations in our organization, big group settings, to being in someone's house and inviting neighbors in. And because of that, we were able to see 33 people in the communities that we work in give their lives to Christ. Not Hope Alive kids, or not people that we're normally with, but people that were just there because it was COVID. We were able to see the 33 community salvations. So we praise the Lord. And we were able to launch a new site in the midst of a pandemic. We went from 3 places in the country that we operate to 4, and we saw 50 kids who started a pandemic without any hope at all for what their future would look like, leave a pandemic and know that their God cared for them, that their God loved them, that there was a God who had a plan for their lives. So we praise the Lord. So just to end this way, the second half of the verse is just as true as the first. God is working in all things, and he works all things together for the good of those who love him and who are called according to his purpose. I pray that it's been true in the life of Valley Grace. I know that it's been true in our lives and in the lives of the students that we work with in Uganda. If you would like to hear more, talk more, connect at all, we are here for a month, and we would love to meet you guys. We'd love to hang out and share. And if there's any way that you want to connect with us individually or with Hope Alive, we would welcome that. We have kids that you can sponsor and send to school. We have tons of opportunities to get involved. So please come hang out and talk. But more than anything, man, thank you for faithfully trusting the Lord with your finances at Valley Grace. And Valley Grace, thank you for trusting us with your finances. We praise the Lord.